After 5 weeks of daily driving with the Simagic P1000 pedals, I'm ready to dive deep and answer all the questions you sent, and we'll try to give you full picture so you can make informed decision. It is important for me to be as objective as possible to not mislead you with wrong expectations, and we'll try to keep your eyes open through the entire process with what is subjective statement and what is subjective and apply to my own personal likes and feelings. For example, those will become my daily drive and will replace my overall favorite pedals I used for a year now, but that will be for very specific reason, which I will explain later, and those reasons may not apply at all for you. So, this will be in the subjective category, and I will do my best to explain myself so you can make your own decision. Let's clean first the objective parts. Those are the inverted model, and from build quality for the price, I haven't found any weak spots for now. The ball bearing is very strong on all three pedals, no plastic washers whatsoever, strong metal parts, which must last for very long time. Let's start with the clutch. It is position sensor based with adjustable plate through 2 bolts, adjustable throw from the rubberized stopper, and 3 different intention springs which are very easy to replace. The piston moves on rollers over that angular pad, and once fall down the pedal become light and easy to keep down. Now, where we want to add the exact bite point is up to us. I personally set mine just before the pedal get light. It have that 2-stage feeling like in real car clutch, but once we start slamming gears and smashing the pedal quickly, that dual stage feeling disappear. Subjectively speaking, I like the feeling in use, which is very similar to the P2000 model, but some people don't. Last year on the expo, one YouTube reviewer argued with me for 20 minutes, explaining me how wrong am I, because he didn't like the feeling. The bastard I am, I let him spend all the energy in his 20 minutes monologue argument, and once he finished, my response was, I totally understand the way you feel, but I still like it. Honestly, don't fall in this trap. Arguing subjective topics is absolute wasted energy because we all may like different things. The pedal have dual stage feeling and I personally like it, but will you? I have no idea. What is a fact here is there is zero play, very strong build made of aluminum with relatively easy adjustment and works exactly as intended. Throttle. The same top quality build with pedal plate adjustment, the same rubberized bump stopper which adjusts the travel and absorb the metallic noise, positions for the piston which change the tension, and Simagic promised to give more springs for further adjustments. I personally added some preload on the spring and set the piston angle to the hardest, which gives me exactly what I want, but I'm warning you. I like soft throttle pedal. Those extra springs are needed to cover bigger range of stiffness level, and I hope they will be added soon. The entire pedal adjustability is also on the easy side, and I believe that is clever design. The feeling in operation is like every other spring throttle pedal, but because it is inverted, is incredibly comfortable for me, but I will explain that later. Brake. Same quality build with the strong ball bearing and zero play. Plate adjustment and travel bump stop which absorb the metallic noise in hard operation. Now, one of the most exciting parts for me here is the load cell sensor and angle sensor. This choice makes huge difference and I will explain why in a minute. For some reason, Simagic decided to go on this model with elastomers. The box comes with different combinations from soft to hard and anything in between, and chart in the guide for all the different combinations. The replacement is also on the simple side. Here is where I have to stress out one very important problem created from all the elastomers I ever tested, and I have tested a lot. You can make the same observation if you have elastomers on your own pedals. If you smash quickly the elastomer to, let's say, 90%, in the next second or two, even keeping the exact amount of pressure, the elastomer relaxes and the percentage falls down. I have seen that in every elastomer based pedals, and that can vary from 4 to 5% to 12-16 between different hardness. In all those beautiful pedals out there, we have super precise load cells, but huge problem created from the rubber. The pedals using springs don't have this problem as the metal structure compressed differently. From other hand, the elastomer compression feels more progressive and natural than the springs, and to take that same feeling on spring-based pedal, we need damper kit like those here in the Cube Control. That is just universal problem for all pedals out there. I don't know how Simagic come to the conclusion to use load cell and position sensor, but that choice saved them from that disaster. Check this out. When I use load cell measurement, I can't keep my initial pressure and always falls down 6 to 8%. When I switch to angle sensor, I can hit specific number and can keep it exactly there for as long as I want. You see, the pedal doesn't trail brake on its own. This is huge. Now I can have that sweet progressive elastomer compression feeling and precise input. They can solve this with springs, which will change the feeling, but the load cell will be precise, or I strongly suggest to use that pedal with position sensor, which is super precise anyway. But remember, we will need at least 2-3 cm travel of the pedal to have enough resolution available on the travel. This is a universal problem no one discussed for years, but at least here we have solution. That exactly is one of the few reasons I will use those for my competitive driving. I hope you got objective idea of the pedals from quality, operation and adjustments point of view. I think for the price those are quite an achievement. Next is the inversion kit. We mostly need to know if it's sturdy enough, and I can see very subtle lateral movement if I force them side to side, but we apply straight forces, and on back and forth movement there is zero flex. I have the brake and throttle straight to my legs, which I suggest to everyone as that will save you from knee pain and avoid any flex from lateral pressure. On the top we have 3 adjustment points which change the angle and lots of different slots for lateral pedal adjustments. The cables are also very long and enough for any position. Now, most of you want to know what is the main difference between standard and inverted pedals. Well, operation is completely different, and subjectively speaking, I don't want to go back on standard pedals anymore, and here is why. The movement of the inverted pedal follows the movement of the feet almost without any friction. You can see the heel is firmly down and the pedal plate and sock or shoe moves together. Super precise and super comfy. The same applies for the brake. On standard pedals, I used to take off my heel and press with my big leg muscle without support. With the heel support, it's way more easy to control the trail braking process with less forces, and I haven't felt knee pain, which is a problem I personally have. But again, try to make the difference between objective and subjective statement. The objective part is inverted have less, close to zero friction between feet and pedal plate, and the heel is firmly down, which gives precise control with less effort. I personally don't feel knee pain and don't want to go back to standard pedals. Is only my personal observation and personal feelings. All that may not apply for you, but if some of you already have those, write your opinion and explain how you feel and why. It will be interesting for those who want to know more. And I forgot to mention, the heel support is important to my statement. It slaves my heel to that fixed position and is needed for me. So, before I move to the most exciting part, which for me is the haptic motors, many of you wanted to give my personal opinion and compare them to the P2000 and other pedals I have around. First, The P2000 have damper on the throttle, which is adjustable to different scales and is the smoothest throttle my feet have ever touched. Clean win for P2000. The brake have dual pump hydraulic system and operate with springs instead of elastomers, and the compression feeling feels very smooth and progressive. Because it's with springs, the load cell is also precise. The Simagic promised to bring hydraulic kit for the P1000, but in original state the P2000 feels a bit better to me, which again is a bit subjective statement. The clutch basically have the same mechanism, so no difference there. Now, even if the P2000 are a bit better in feeling because of the damper on the throttle and the dual pump on the brake, the P1000 have better ball bearing, which makes them more reliable, and the rubberized bolt makes them way more silent. Objectively, there are plus and minuses between the two models, and another plus for the P1000 is they are open for upgrades with the hydraulic system and a bit more advanced design. Officially it's not confirmed haptic motors compatibility for the P2000, which may also play a big role in your personal decision. My subjective opinion is I will personally go for P1000 for better design, position and load sensor on the brake, inversion kit, plus future upgrade kits. I can definitely sacrifice a bit from the ultimate feeling of the P2000 for the reasons I mentioned previously without even talking about the haptic motors which may come or not for the P2000. So, it is up to you and what you personally want to sacrifice. Let's talk now for the most exciting part, the haptic motors. First, the bad news before you get overexcited. There is no feedback on Automobilista 2, R-Factor 2 and the original Assetto Corsa. Those are three big players for the sim community and many will be disappointed. I asked the Simagic technical team, but the answer was not very clear. They said they work for improvements and compatibility, but from my understanding is not entirely up to them, but also to what each sim provides as a feedback. Remember, those motors are not bus shakers and don't operate from sound, but from specific input provided from the sim itself. The advantage is they react instantly without any delay, but that limits them to only ABS and traction input. I don't have any information for the future and they don't want to share much, which is totally understandable. On ACC I'm getting ABS and traction kicks, but doesn't found huge benefits from that as we have to brake on ABS activated and it's only a bit immersive without some real help. Of course, if immersion is what you are looking for on ACC, you will have it. On iRacing, however, is completely different story, and if you drive cars with ABS systems, that motor will become your best friend. The ultimate braking on iRacing is just around the anti-block system and the line is very thin. I never realized how bad my trial braking habits are before I tested first time the Simucube pedals and now driving daily on the P1000. Seeing the ABS activated on your dash is one thing, but feeling it on your left foot is completely different story. It is very intuitive and helps enormously for the ultimate braking. At some point through the trial braking process, you will realize that the car could speed twice faster with just barely touching the brake at 8-10% instead of 30% pressure. I start to understand why the car sometimes turns in great and sometimes just oversteer. It opens completely new horizon for me. It is just a subtle feedback, but huge difference for iRacing. How it feels exactly. It is heavy rubber inside, which moves like piston up and down, because it works between 10 to 50 Hz, and for ABS I found 12 to work best for me. I can feel separately each hit, which feels like real car ABS pedal activation. It is not like vibration, but mostly like pedal is hitting my feet and it's very intuitive for my brain. From noise, it's not silent at all, and if there are other people in the same room, will be a very unpleasant sound, but I can't hear it outside of my racing place. It really does great job for what it's intended to do, and noise, I guess, will be the price we have to pay. The traction control and the bite point feedback doesn't work in iRacing, and the answer I've got is unclear, but the Simagic team told me they are working on improvements, which I don't know what exactly means. They really don't want to share much information with me, and that is understandable as they have their own competition and I have to respect that. So let me be clear, for now on iRacing, feedback is limited just to ABS input. It is big thing, but only for cars with anti-lock system. Remember, there is no feedback on the Porsche Cup, for example, or V8s or any other car without ABS system. They promise improvements and more effects in the future, but that's what we have for now. If you reach to this point of the video, means you really consider those as possible upgrade, and some of you already have made their own decisions, but some of you still don't know what to do. My responsibility as owner of this channel is to be absolutely objective and able to separate what I personally like and what the product really is. So, very high quality build and materials. Relatively easy for adjustment, possible future upgrades with hydraulic system, dual mode for the brake with load cell or position sensor, and can be inverted. We have also the feedback motors, and I think Simagic are not anymore the new company and have proved themselves. All this above is the objective observation you must give the most of your attention. The pedals from quality are on the level with the top models on the market, but with few advantages, and one of those is way better price. Let's move now to the subjective topic. You already have good pedal set, but ask yourself if those will be upgrade for you. I will subjectively explain my personal decision to keep those as main pedal set. I drove the InSim Talento for 1 year now as a first choice. For standard, non-inverted pedals, those are the most comfortable I ever used. However, once I tested inverted pedals, I personally don't want to go back. If I invert the InSim Talento, they will become just as comfortable as those, and I definitely like a bit more the feeling of each pedal in compression, so inverted Talento will win, but the haptic motor on the brake pedal for my iRacing drive is my best friend now. The cube controls have also made the best brake feeling in compression I ever had, but again, the haptic motors is something I would not sacrifice for any feeling, and I'm not including the Simucube pedals in that count as they are definitely not any pedals, they are the pedals, but they have the price. So that's my case, and one important part for you to fully understand is when you hear a reviewer like me talking about feelings. I like that and I don't like that, and I hate this but love this. You really have to understand, although statements based on feelings are subjective, not scientific proof, and may not apply at all for you. However, the pedals again are absolute top quality for very competitive price, and I hope to see the haptic motor on all pedals so we can enjoy the feedback on whatever we have. Hope we will have soon the hydraulic upgrade and see how that will feel. Are those pedals for you? Well, I hope you have already made your own conclusion.